YouTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie. So this is a kind of a this is what I recently purchased video. I was going to kind of talk about also what I'm currently reading. I think I'm going to go ahead and mention what I'm reading, but I'm probably not going to elaborate too much because I'm kind of tired. I think I'm getting a little sick right now, so I'm just going to mention to you guys what I'm reading. And show you what I recently purchased. Okay, so first of all, the books I'm currently reading are first last night after I finished the Buccaneers. I did my review. I have not filmed my review of that, but I'm gonna wait. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's Thursday right now, and then tomorrow is Friday, and it is a rainy day tomorrow, so I might film it. And if I do film it, I need to do it tomorrow because I'm off tomorrow, and then we're thinking about and then I offer to work Saturday and Sunday this week, even though I was originally off on Saturday. So I am working, so Friday at the moment is my only day to film. So I might do it, I don't know. I'm just really, like I said, you might have to wait because I'm just, like I said, I'm starting to get sick and not congested, thankfully, but a little congested, but not like I'm, like, obviously I'm able to film because sometimes when I have a cold, it's hard for me to film because I can feel it in my throat. But luckily I haven't had that yet. That hasn't happened yet. Knock on wood. But I'm feeling very achy and tired and just not great, so I'm not going to film. So like I said, I'm not going to talk much about these books, and plus I haven't read a lot of them anyway. So I don't have a lot to say, but I did start reading The Echo of Things to Come, which is the sequel to The Shadow of What Was Lost. I kept going back and forth with these books in these series, books and series that the next book I got to read in each series. In this case, this is a trilogy, so, I was just thinking, let me just start this book. It's only 3 books long, so it's only a trilogy, so let me go ahead and start reading this. So, I did start this last night, didn't get very far. Of course, it picked up right where the other one left off, and this author, Islington, James Islington, did one of those, just like John Gwynne, he does something in the beginning of the book where it kind of gives you a summary of, what was established in the previous book. Like, what the basic information you need to remember what happened. Not too many details. Like, he mentioned in the beginning line before he started the explanation reminder that, this is basically a synopsis, so he won't talk about everything in a gloss. He was glossing over some stuff. But it was good. I need to read these more often. I'm like, I want to get to the book. I want to get to the story and everything, so I skip them. But I feel like I should read them more. That way I can refresh my memory of what happened. Especially when I read the books, like, there's time between each book in the series, like with The Faithful and the Fallen. There is so much time in between each of those books. And the same thing with The Wheel of Time. There's so much space in between. Now that series does not have a refresher excerpt in the beginning. But so far it's good. I like what I read so far, but not a lot to really sink my teeth into it and to really be like, oh, this is the best thing ever. This is a great sequel. Like, I haven't decided if it has a sophomore slump yet. I haven't read enough to determine that, so I'm reading that one. And then I'm also reading, so I had a hair appointment. Like, my hair is, as you can see from my last video, my hair is different. So I had a haircut, and with my purse, I cannot fit this book in my purse. So I had to pick a smaller book. I think it's too tall and too thick of a book, so I decided to pick a smaller book to put in there. So I picked this one, this Russian Blood, which is a nonfiction book about the author Alex Shumatov, is, which at first I thought it was a woman, but actually, they refer to that person as a he, I think. So I think Alex is actually a guy. And him writing about his grandmother, at least that's what it seems so far, and the family history. This is a real life family in Russia. And it starts with talking about his grandmother and her passing, which, considering what's my personal life right now and how I'm concerned about my own grandmother, got a little emotional. I was reading it in the bookshop today. Which is like, oh, okay, get through this chapter before I start crying in public. Like, I know it's okay, nothing's wrong. If you're crying in public when reading the book, that's good. It means it's a good book. But, it's really got your emotions. But I was not in the mood to deal with that right now. I didn't want to deal with anyone asking me what was wrong. Just like, okay, let's just get through this section and get to other stuff. So, there are some name drops. He talks about his grandma and her funeral and how she's an artist. And she used to, and just he drops things about their family and their family history and who they might be related to. Like, he has an uncle who believes they might be related to Cleopatra and Jesus Christ. Which, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible, But those two people aren't related, I don't think. I don't know my history, but it's possible. But I don't know. So, read that one. Now let's talk about what I recently purchased. First, I'm going to talk about the book I ordered off of Thrift Books that I mentioned to you in my last video I filmed that I did not talk about. So, as you guys know, last time I bought a book from the Rose Office, last time I ordered a book from Thrift Books, I did not realize it was actually, I forgot that was actually the third book in the Heartstone trilogy. So, I did say I was considering reading that book for Jane Austen July because it is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, which, oh my god, there's so many retellings of Pride and Prejudice or books that are about after the events of Pride and Prejudice, like elaborating on their characters and their marriages and, all that, or like, little stories that have to do with, what's going on with Lizzie and Darcy right now, or like the Pride and Prejudice from Darcy's perspective. Which is great. It's fun, especially since Pride and Prejudice is the most popular Jane Austen work. Everyone loves it. So I'm sure everyone's eating it up when they see all these versions of Pride and Prejudice. But, with that being said, it would be kind of nice to see other of her novels being looked at and having spin-off books or books that are retellings. Like, there are a couple. Like, there are a few here that, like, Clueless is a retelling of Emma in movie format. You have Hallmark has done a couple of their Christmas movies that are adaptations of Jane Austen novels. Like, I remember they did the Sense and Sensibility one, which, oh my god, Emma would be perfect for a Hallmark movie. Because, especially the Christmas movies, like, having someone be a matchmaker around Christmas, like, and, she's been friends with this one person for so long, and she doesn't realize, I don't know why they have not. I'm sure, well, although maybe they have. Maybe I will see an Emma retelling on Hallmark, during Christmas time. Or I could see them doing one for Valentine's Day, but Christmas time is the only time I watch Hallmark movies. Because it's the only time I feel in the mood for those cheesy, comforting, conservative movies. So yeah, I could see them doing Emma too. They might do a Valentine's Day one with Emma. Because like I said, it's all about, the story is her being a matchmaker and not really knowing people like she thinks she does. And, I want to see these other, like I said, they do have some, like they have Mansfield Revisited, where it's about, Fanny's sister coming, her time living with, the aunt and uncle and cousins. And they do have some, I've seen some here and there, but I feel like there's not enough out there that talk about other Jane Austen works besides Pride and Prejudice. There needs to be more. And it's driving me crazy because as much as I love Pride and Prejudice, like everybody else, it's not my favorite, but I do love it. It'd be kind of, like I said, it would be nice if other books, the other Jane Austen works, were considered for like retellings or books that are, you know, that go beyond the original story. And no, I've heard of some contemporary ones. But yeah, so this is another one of those Pride and Prejudice ones. Okay, so the first one is the courtship, I imagine, and then this one, going by this little blurb here, Pride and Prejudice, monsters, no one said marriage to a dragon rider would be easy. So I'm guessing this one, Dragon Shadow, is also going to focus on the marriage of the characters. You know, we're going to have the first book being about them deciding to maybe falling in love and getting married, but then they realize it's very complicated and hard to do. In the second one. Now, I don't know what the third one's going to be about. But yeah, I love when they take the Regency historical and mix it with fantasy. The same thing with the Victorian era. Like, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell has become one of my favorite books, although I still have not finished it. But I can already tell you it's one of my favorites. Because, I mean, I don't think it's going to do anything that changes my opinion. I mean, there's always a small chance, but... So, I bought the second book finally. I was like, okay, this is one of the books I need to get. And I was like, let me just get one book. That way I won't, you know, because I know that if I get two, it's going to be like $16 or $20. If I get two, because, you know, there's tax. There's still tax and everything, so. Got that. So, I got that one. Okay, now. Nope. Damn it. Okay, now let's talk about the books I recently purchased from Gibbons, which I really should call it Gibbons. It's not technically the roast office. The roast office is the coffee shop. So this was not today's visit, but this was the previous visit a few days ago. So we had a really big storm, and it rained a lot, and then finally the rain let up later in the afternoon, so I was like, let me go to the bookstore, get some fresh air, and finally go, because I had wanted to go a couple days before, but then, like I said, I was, both my parents were gone, and I wanted to watch, I was kind of worried about Murphy and everything, and I didn't want to lock him up, so I was like, I don't want to put him in his crate, so I was watching him, which drove me a little crazy, because I wanted to get out, and both my parents were gone all day, so I was like, So anyway, a couple days later, when the rain finally stopped, I was like, I'm going to the bookstore. You're here, so I'm going to the bookstore. So I got two books. First one is one I've heard about before, as one of those books that people recommend you read before you die, or must-read lists and stuff like that, and people have, talk about reading it, like, and I'm sure someone like Steve Donahue has mentioned having it in his collection, which, that I am envious of his collection. But he also is better at taking books off his shelf than I am, so, in fact, his video kind of made me feel a little guilty. But, I'm sure he has this book. He probably has this book. And this is not the first book where I've had multiple books in one book. So this is Dance, the Music, and Time, the first movement. So I don't know if I'm going to have to get other books, if there's how many books are going to be, like how many movements. But this is about three brothers, set during the, I think the 20s? One of them's, okay, so the narrator Jenkins is a budding writer, sharing a room with Templar, already a passionate womanizer, and Stringham, aristocratic and restless. Yeah, so it takes place in the 20s. Oh, they're not brothers, they're just four very different young men on the threshold of manhood. So I guess maybe they're roommates or something, I don't know. But I wasn't sure because I worry about a certain writing style. I want, these kinds of books, I want to always check what the writing style is, because I still struggle very much with the, like Virginia Woolf writing style of, continuously going and no spaces, no separation. Stream of consciousness, like that stream of consciousness style, it's very stressful for me because I need a break. I don't want to be like continuously being in someone's head, being in the character's head. I want to take a break. I don't want to stop in the middle, but I don't want to stop in the middle of the book and then have to pick up where I left off and there's no break. Like, I don't like stream of consciousness. I struggle with that. Like, that's probably Ulysses, and I've recently given up on Ulysses. That is one that I kept trying, but the writing in that book is very eccentric, and he's tried all these different artistic styles. And I only was hesitating because I got his other book, The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. I got his other book, which is shorter, Ulysses, but still it does a similar thing with the writing. And I recently bought it, so like, I'm not giving up. I'm gonna keep trying you. James Joyce. But it's, I don't know. I might have to give up. I mean, mine just recently got The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man earlier last year, so it's like, I feel like I need to give it a shot. And it is a little bit easier because I had read a little bit, and it was a little bit easier to get into. But yeah, I always check, okay, does this book do something like that? And so far, it doesn't look like it. I mean, it might. I don't know. I have to look at it and try to take my time with it and see what happens. But yeah, the fact that it's set in 20s for one, and one of them is a writer, and I know that there's gonna be, I feel like there's probably gonna be some things in here that, like, not gonna be kind to women all the time. There's always that possibility, but I can't always, I'm not gonna always let that stop me from reading a book, because sometimes those books, even if they have aspects, yes, they're products of their own time. I'm not encouraging that kind of writing, like, especially now, we don't have to always have that writing. But if it's historical, it was written a long time ago, then, some of these books are still good. Like, it's not enough for me to not, turn me off from a book. But yeah, I imagine there's gonna be some of that. There might be stuff, because one of the characters is a womanizer. So, I'm gonna just be like, whatever, dude. You're obnoxious. Because I'm sure he will be. But yeah, so then the next one I got, because I'm trying to stick to my 2-book purchasing. Okay, so this is an author I keep trying to get into, but then I'm like, I keep trying to get into, but then I end up putting it down and I never get into her. So this author should be another author that I should consider, prioritizing reading her books. And maybe just start with this one book for now, and then if I like it, try and get something else. Like, I think that's my biggest problem, as I talked about in my goals video, was I will buy multiple books by that author, but then it takes me forever to get into that author because I get distracted by other books. Or, like, sometimes it might take me a while to get into that book, and then by the time I get to that author's work, all of a sudden I'm no longer interested. So I need to start getting to that of just buying one book of theirs at a time, and then if I like that book, maybe buying another one and trying that one before I buy more books by that author. Like, I might get excited because, oh, I love this book is so great, and get excited and want to buy multiple books by that author, thinking, oh, I love everything they write. But even with Stephen King, I don't love everything that he writes. So far there's only a few authors where I've liked, like, most of everything they write so far. Like Kate Morton, I've never not read one for books or not liked it. I mean, there are books that I prefer over others, but so far I love all of them. Brandon Sanderson, he's an author that mostly I like his works, but sometimes there are some of his works that I'm just not feeling. So the author I'm talking about right now is Joyce Carol Oates, and twice I bought one of her books, and I never got around to it. So this time I had purchased Blonde, which is kind of a it's fiction. It's not based on fact. It's inspired by the facts, I think. I think it's inspired by what is her name? Marilyn Monroe. It's inspired by Marilyn Monroe in her life. So, in her most ambitious work to date, Joyce Carol Oates boldly reimagined the inner poetic and spiritual life of Norma Jean Baker, the child, the woman, the fated celebrity, idolized blonde the world came to know as Marilyn Monroe. In a voice thoroughly intimate and rich, Norma Jean tells her own story of an emblematic American artist, intensely conflicted and driven, who had lost her way. A powerful portrait of Hollywood's myth and extraordinary woman's heartbreaking reality. Blonde is a sweeping epic that pays tribute to the elusive magic and devastation behind the creation of the great 20th century American star. So this is not like entirely factual, but it's based on what her life might have been like. And when I picked it up, I kept thinking about the show Smash, which was a show on, I think, CBS. That was like a show based now a major consumer TV movie. No, okay, it says TV movie. There was a show called Smash that was about making a musical in New York and how hard it is, all the craziness of it. And they were making a musical based on Marilyn Monroe's life. And so when I kept thinking of, when I picked up the book, that song, the opening number in their musical, kept popping in my head. I don't know all the lyrics, but I do have a CD back when CDs were still a thing, when people didn't just download stuff. And because even in the early 2000s, I think CDs were still kind of like a thing, and like FYE was still around. I don't know if it still is. It's probably gone by now because people, maybe even it's turned into an Apple store. I don't know, but yeah. So I bought the CD years ago, so I know a little bit of the song. So I keep thinking. I mean, even though the song, I can hear the song in my head. The song, it's the opening song that they're using in the musical. I was hearing that as soon as I purchased this book. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what I bought today. Which, by the way, I recently ordered another tote bag from Etsy. I started using Etsy, and I ordered a tote bag from Etsy that was Gilmore Girls based, which I was in the mood for Gilmore Girls because I started rewatching it again. So first, we have American Brutus by Michael W. Kaufman and John Wilkes Booth and the Lincoln Conspiracies. So I thought that would be really cool to read about because I enjoy history. About that one, it would be really cool to read about this and learn about some of the crazy theories and learn a bit more about John Wilkes Booth, an actual, nonfiction. Because I know there was a book that came out last year called Booth that was about his family, not about him particularly. I mean, he's in the book, but I ended up DNFing it. And that was partly because it was a library book, and I was, having to make a decision if I wanted, because I don't want to keep renewing it. So, but I thought this would be really cool to, and plus it's mine. I bought it, so I can take my time with it. But yeah, I thought this was kind of, this would be kind of cool to read about, learn more about him and some of the other conspiracies. And then one more. I don't know how to say this, but Folkons, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Folkons, by Emmy Javits, which I'm wondering if this is a female author, because I know a lot of female authors will put their initials when they first publish a book, because publishing can be kind of sexist. And this is kind of about a Scandinavian family. But I'm going to go ahead and read the description, because, even though I just bought it, I don't Things do change between the insecure young king and his strange brothers. The powerful regent of Sweden, who reigns during the young king's minority, resists relinquishing the rule to which he has become accustomed. Now, Norway's king becomes isolated as double marriages cement the ties between the Swedish and the Danish thrones. Royals and courtiers in the three countries conspire to create their own fiefdoms. Betrayals ignite wars, while their final outcome is manipulated by the fervent pride of a woman. The true historical record of royal brothers come to life in this epic tale of love, lust, and royal crimes, playing out across the snowy landscapes, light summer nights, and medieval castles of Scandinavia. So I guess this is nonfiction, because it was not in the nonfiction vault. There's a little room, the vault where all the nonfiction usually go, but this was on the fiction shelf. And there was actually another book I saw that I would think would fit more in the fiction, should be in the nonfiction, but is in the fiction. So I don't know. Maybe the people who shelf these books don't always know if it's nonfiction or not, or fiction. So yeah, I ended up getting 2 nonfictions this time around. So I'm slowly building my nonfiction library. So that's the 2 books I got today. So that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. So if you guys like this video, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification button below if you want to be notified about my latest videos. I hope you're enjoying what you're currently reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!